Okay, so light the blue touch paper. There's possibly a lot of people these days who don't know what that means, but anybody of a certain generation, particularly in Britain, will know all about lighting the blue touch paper. It's the little piece of paper at the bottom of the rocket that you stick in a milk bottle or something similar, and it just, you light it, you wait, you walk away, and you don't go back to it at all because it could blow up in your face. So this is kind of what we're talking about tonight, lighting blue touch papers, what the touch paper is, and whether or not we should go back to it afterwards. So let's start with our most furthest away person from Canada, Jennifer. We'll start with you tonight.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Jakowski. I am a registered psychotherapist, a certified Canadian counselor, intuitive life coach, and I am excited to be here with all of you. My work is helping people come home to themselves. And I think that a topic of recognizing what we set in motion in whatever form that takes is a great one for how we are able to see our journey back to ourselves, what we either need to shift, change, grab hold of, whatever that looks like.
Thank you. Mary.
I'm Mary Corbett. I'm a life coach, and I spend most of my days supporting people who've been made redundant from jobs and who are faced with that wonderful choice of new job, new career, retirement, or, maybe just do nothing, but not retirement either. So yeah, I encounter people where they have lots of change happening, and sometimes it creates explosive change, which can be fun and exciting and even slightly scary. So yeah, I love change. So yeah, I think we'll have lots to talk about this evening.
Groovy. Angela.
Hi, I'm Angela Day. I'm a kinesiologist and a coach, and I help people wherever they're at right now to get to wherever they want to get to. So whether that is pain-free, whether that is dealing with trauma, whether it is whatever, helping people put down their baggage and walk away from it, or just maybe declutter it and just take the stuff that they want to keep with them. So whatever that looks like for them, and just helping people move forwards. So if it comes to change, I used to be a change professional. So I've got a little bit of a background in that space as well, but I'm looking for the transformation that we can have and helping people feel better about themselves.
And I'm Leslie Marsh, and I'm looking at the evolution of the change to a certain extent with mind methodology. So basically, there's a lot of things that get us stuck when we're thinking too hard about things. And sometimes that involves a little bit of explosive thought and things going bang, sometimes in the night, so you get insomnia and you wake up and think, what? No. There are so many ways that we can deal with stuff that there's a method in the madness, and I'm mad enough to go there. So yeah, mind methodology. That's my encompassing piece of bow tying in what I do. But most of the time, I could probably say, some people would say I'm like walking about with an open book of matches, just waiting for some blue paper to touch with it. Because, I do like to see things happening.
I'm not sure that you always wait for the blue touch paper. I think you just like lighting things on fire in general.
Well, it's a strange thing for a Capricorn to do, but yeah, you might be right. I am a bit of a stirrer. Makes life interesting. So, lighting blue touch paper. This is the whole thing about fireworks. We know that the firework is going to go bang. We know that it's going to explode from wherever it is, and it might be a pretty picture, or it might be a total disaster and be a damp squib. But no matter what happens, there's always a danger of going back to that little moment, because sometimes it can still blow up in your face. And this is more about when we're looking at people who say they want to change. They come in with all the right words. Oh yes, I'm so tired of doing this, and it's doing it, and nothing's working for me, and I really need to stop doing this. I really need to stop doing this now. And you're like, yeah, sure, okay. And when we switch all these buttons around and stop you from doing that, how are the rest of your family going to feel when you're not reacting or responding the way that you used to? Now that's the interesting part, isn't it, Jennifer?
Absolutely. You know, we get to this place, and as you talk about the blue touch paper, what comes to mind is that kind of threshold of transformation. Because I love the visual that you're giving of you light the fuse, you step back, and then you have to wait. And I think that when we're doing that, when we're lighting that fuse, it's that moment where our inner alignment is going to meet that outer catalyst. And people around us don't like it when we have massive transformations because they don't know how to see us. They don't know how to interact with us anymore. We're not doing all of the things that they are expecting of us. And so this one, fuse that we are lighting for ourselves that's causing this transformation within us actually has a effect that's now lighting fuses in so many other places with so many other people that we may not have fully conceptualized when we went, let's light this one up.
Angela.
And sometimes we light it up and then we start actually realizing the impacts it's having and decide, hmm, not quite sure I want to go there. And we try to go back to the box, but you can't actually go back into the box. You can't ever go back fully. You can't become the doormat again because now everybody knows she mightn't react the same way. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. You've kind of let the cat out of the bag that you're capable of change. And so I think sometimes, though, it's understandable why sometimes people try to pull back. It's too much for me. But I don't think they ever go right back. I think they go almost back. I don't think they can go right.
I love that. I love that kind of mwahaha situation going on with your hands there, Mary.
Yeah,
When
I
you're doing
know.
that, it's like,
Well, you see,
mwahaha. It's really,
well, you see, when it's because it's been Halloween, it's Halloween time, and we have children doing things. Oh, what nice children we have! Because I was a terror with youngsters coming trick or treating, that I would actually dress up and greet them at the door with full witch's hat and cape. So I always had fun. So my hands became very important this time of year.
oh yeah.
Very important.
They're always important, particularly with that kind of situation. Hands are
Mhm.
always good to have in that situation. Angela.
From that perspective, hands are good to have. If whether it's a sparkler or a firework, you don't want your hands anywhere near them after they've been lit. And
No.
it is that point of it's once you've let the cat out of the bag, or you've lit the touch paper or the fuse or whatever it is you're lighting, it's very difficult to go back and then stop it. So yes, you could douse it in cold water and hope for the best, but things may still start happening. But you also then can't light it and let it go bang because you've changed the situation as well. So there's a lot there that once you have started that process, the catalyst is going, something's going to happen. And it is that allowing yourself permission
Mm.
that once you've lit it or you've walked towards it, you bought the firework, you put it in the milk bottle, noting that it's a glass milk bottle and not a plastic one. Once you have set that chain of events into motion, it is very difficult to go back to where it was before because you're not the same person as you were an hour ago, never mind a day ago or whatever else. So things do start moving. And
Mm.
and as Jennifer was saying, other people might not like that things are moving. And
It's like,
you've got to stand strong in yourself to say, no, this is what's right for me.
I mean, what is the point in sitting on a whole load of fireworks? You've got them all.
Autumn.
Only if you've set them alight first. Now, I don't think I would like to sit on even the biscuit tin because we used to keep them in a biscuit tin so that they
They're now
wouldn't get
plastic these days as well, so yeah.
yeah, but so they wouldn't get damp and they wouldn't they were strong and sturdy things in case anything went off in the middle of it. You're walking about with a small bomb, you know. And this is it, it's gunpowder. That's what it's for, it's gunpowder. And basically, you're making this choice, this decision to actually, make this thing go bang. And if it goes bang and you go, oh, look at that, it's pretty, it's really nice, and then it goes bang again, and you're like, whoa, how did that happen? Because you have a chain reaction with some of them now. It's not just a simple whee at the bottom. No, it's bang, 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 bang. Because everybody likes to see a big show. But that's just it. A lot of the stuff is happening in that moment of anticipation when we're lighting that match. We have to actually actively think about what we're going to do, where we're going to put it, how we're going to be there. How far back do we stand? Have we got everybody in a safe position so that they can all look at it safely? But we don't always do that when it's about our blue touch paper, when it's about our firework, when something has become so much of a passion, reignited even. Like the damp squib, you go back to it and suddenly it goes, hey, I'm still here and I'm still burning. And it's like, wow, did I really want to do that? But you're right, you can't go back. Not fully. You just got to deal with the fallout.
Yeah, I think you can sometimes be there, particularly with clients, encourage them to slow down, slow down to go faster type of scenario. You're trying to slow them down to get them to think through about what the potential of what the change might involve. There's no real way you can guess some things, but you don't really know. And it's that law of unintended consequences. The ones you haven't seen are usually the ones that cause the greatest challenges. Well, challenges is probably as strong as I'll put it. But I think that idea that when we're making our own changes is that, yeah, sometimes we actually can't imagine what the impact is going to be from somebody else's perspective. So we actually, there is a sense of which going into the unknown, but that excitement, oh, we'll make the change, make the change. Yeah, sometimes I think we really do need to slow people down sometimes.
Hmm.
Get them even to try and think what might happen.
I
I think it's
ready
interesting
for
the
change.
fallout as well, or that what's going to come back down again. And I think a lot of people don't think that through either. So yes, it's going to be a pretty displays with some lots of bangs and whizzes and whatever else. But is there stuff going to fall back to earth? And where's it going to land? Have you stepped far enough back? Is it going at an angle? And all these different elements to it. And I think it is, if you're looking at big changes in your life and you've got a lot of people around you that are very close, you need to almost make sure that they're standing far enough back, or they're prepped and they're primed and they know what's coming. Because maybe they want to come with you. Maybe they don't.
And also, that's the other thing as well. Some people will say, "I'm with you. Well done. Go ahead and do it." But actually, they don't mean that because they're already going through the stuff, thinking, "Well, that's them going. I don't know how to follow that. I don't know who they're going to be, and who am I then if I can't do what they do?" It's like when someone gives up smoking. Staying slightly on the fire situation. When someone gives up smoking, and all their friends are around there going, "What you do that for? Now who am I going to talk to on my smoke break? Now who am I going to, and they're just so used to seeing you with perhaps a glass in one hand and a cigarette in the other, or cigar, depending on your foible. And it's really that social habit. And that's another thing about change, particularly the firework kind. It disrupts completely the social habit. Because once that's gone bang and it does fall, the little machine that made it go there falls to earth, you're left with a shell of the past. And that's quite a good analogy, actually. Because when a rocket comes down, it's just a stick with some soggy paper. Oh. Yeah, you can't go back. You can't put anything back in that's going to go bang.
When we talk about
You-
change and change versus transformation too, and I think that that's a key concept in what we're talking about, because change happens all the time and we're ready for it. Sometimes we're not. But when it comes to transformation, lighting the spark isn't what causes the transformation. It really is that readiness to accept whatever is coming and however it's going to show up, and knowing that we have the capacity to move through that. And so the spark, when you light that rocket, when you light the paper, it's just revealing what's already combustible. It's revealing what's already there to be changed. We just need that readiness to light the spark. And I think that sometimes we end up jumping in and we go, oh yeah, I want to do this, as you were talking about earlier. And we light the spark and go, oh, readiness was not there. I didn't do what I needed to do in order to be ready for this. And then other times when we are, really taking the time to contemplate, to do the shadow work, to do the stuff that is going to allow for the transformation to happen, that's when we can navigate more easily what's coming at us from everybody else as well. I think that's the difference between striking a change and bringing about a transformation.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Mary?
What do I reckon? I think I'm very mindful of the fact that, the transformations aren't always that frequent, but they're the most impactful. So a lot of the time I spend a lot of my work working with change rather than transformation. So the transformations always stand out. And I don't think I've ever met anybody who didn't end up happy that they'd made the transformation.
Hmm.
Now, I've met lots of people who've made changes, don't get me wrong, but the ones who did big transformations, they've all ended up in a much happier place than they were. So I think, even though we've been talking about, well, you can't go backwards, you can't, go back in the box, you can't, it impacts on people around you. I do think there's a piece of it that says if you go for that transformation, the law of odds, from my experience with people I've known, is that, yeah, while they might have a rough time initially, none of them have ever regretted it. So I'm curious if other people have. I could be unusual in that experience.
I think the experiences I've had, it's not necessarily the person that's made the transformation that have regretted it. It's the people in their lives. So it's the spouses, it's the children, it's siblings. And I think from that perspective, while the transformations have been very successful for the actual individuals, there's an element of it that of possibly sadness because that they've not been there with they've not come along for the journey.
Yeah, and I suppose my reality is that I only deal with the one person who's making the transformation, so I don't really see the others in the same extent. So yeah, I think yes, the impact on others, they can have a very different experience of the transformations, definitely. But
I've
I
seen
think
it.
the person,
I've seen it happen once, particularly once with someone who was wanting to lose weight, and for their health, it was extremely important that they did. But their spouse was a feeder. They showed their love by making food for their partner and making sure that, so they felt that the person who was trying to lose weight felt they had to eat it. And that therefore kind of it unpicked all the work, because when, the resistance to change is the difficult part. But when the resistance to change is backed by, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, then we have the issue. Then we have the problem. And that is when they will go back in the box to a certain extent, because they don't want to hurt someone else. And that's, and it comes down to the different ways that we show love and express love. And that can be a real kind of damp squib when it comes to transformation.
Even it can be a damn script when it comes to change as well. That network you have around you. I remember once working with somebody who was now wasn't she was just losing some weight, wasn't a major one, but as soon as she got thin, suddenly she got nervous because her husband got jealous because suddenly she was attracting way more attention. And she struggled with his feelings, so therefore she stopped continuing to diet.
Yeah.
She didn't achieve her weight goals, but more because she didn't want to upset her husband. I was fascinated, and it was her choice in the end, and she was still healthy, and there was no major risk of health risk or anything like that. But it was fascinating to me that the other person, their vulnerabilities became problematic.
Yeah, it's one of those
So,
things that a lot of people think that people get fat in order to become invisible to the opposite sex on occasions, in order to protect themselves from that. But then there's also the other way where people get involved with people who are overweight so that they won't be seen as attractive to someone else and they'll be able to keep them forever and ever and ever right here, just by me, which
mhm.
shows some kind of pathology there as well. But this is what is so interesting about this blue touch paper, because you just don't know until you light it what colour fireworks going to come out of it.
Yeah, you don't. It's challenging.
Mm.
Makes it exciting though.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of the reason we do what we do, isn't it? Because it's really interesting, and in some cases we kind of can work out our own stuff at the same time. Oh yeah, I feel like that. Oh my, okay. You're back, Angela. Did your computer bang?
It pretty much did, and they've actually started setting off fireworks outside as well just now. So it's all
Oh, everything's
Oh,
happening.
wonderful.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
waiting
No,
for my lot to
my,
start.
my my computer obviously didn't like the transformation, and it had enough. So I'm on a different device, but hopefully this will last a little bit better.
Well, that's all we can hope for when we transform.
So I'm fascinated with everybody's moved around the screen. So when you came back on, so everybody's position on the screen has just changed.
Yeah. So one of those changes that happen that kind of makes you go wonky when you're on Zoom.
Yes.
But that's it, though, isn't it, Jennifer? Change makes you go wonky on occasions.
It really can. And you're talking about change and other people and the way that we interact. And it's so interesting in thinking about the idea of the fireworks, the explosion, because often we think of an explosion and we think about it destructively. Like, what problem is it causing? And yet when you think of a firework, for a lot of people, it's exciting. As you were saying, we don't know what color it is, you don't know how it's going to show up, and you're really excited to see it. And then, of course, animals, wildlife are scared often of the fireworks and what's happening. And so, no matter where we are on that spectrum of loving it or hating it, something is happening and it is a release of some kind, right? It's breaking up a stagnation, it's changing something, no matter where we are in that spectrum. And so I think it's such a neat thing to look at too when we're talking about, stages of change and how, depending on where we're at, it will determine if it's a change or a transformation. But no matter what, something will shift.
That's the big thing, is the shift.
Shift.
The shift. Things shift and then things go to hell in a handbasket. Because you just don't know what's going to happen next.
But isn't that just life?
Yeah, well, yeah. And this is it. Although we've been so kind of inundated with the idea that uncertainty is a bad thing. Uncertainty, oh, it's scary. Oh my goodness. Actually, the only thing that's certain in life is uncertainty.
Yeah.
And it should be embraced.
But I think there are levels of uncertainty that are more or less easy to embrace. So that if if you've some pieces that stay solid, it's much easier to cope with uncertainty in other areas. And the challenge of a big change, a transformational change is an awful lot of uncertainty can appear, and that can be overwhelming in itself.
Yeah, yeah. But again, I think it's perspective, and it's also a case of once you do that, once you've made that choice, and you are ready to leave behind things that are not necessarily serving you anymore, then you have to kind of realize that the collateral damage is something you're going to have to deal with too. And that's where the uncertainty lies, because you don't know who's going to be affected in what way until it actually happens.
Mhm.
And then you got to
Yeah,
deal with it.
I love that idea too, how, certainty around certain things gets us really worked up. If we don't have the certainty around those things, we get so upset. And yet, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to raise my hand. And yet, on the other side, there are things where we get super excited about not having the certainty, like the fireworks and what's going to come out, going for a drive and saying, let's see where we end up, going, all of these different things that we can get excited about because we don't know what's coming. And then on the other end, we're getting so anxious about things because we don't know what's coming. And that idea that anxiety and excitement are two sides of the same coin, and we get to decide which one we want to move into. We do have that capacity to shift that energy if we're conscious of what's happening.
I'm a big fan of the idea of first timeitis. So you're not excited and you're not scared. You first timeitis. And I used to use that word with my children anytime they were trying something new and they had that mix of excitement and fear. And you could see, especially when they're small and their little faces, and and it would have been so easy to say, "Oh, are you scared?"
Mm.
And I was literally, I distinctly remember one drive in a car with my daughter, and I literally, are you, how are you feeling? And I was literally in that split second, how are you feeling are you feeling, I was so close. And that was when I started using first timeitis. It was great. So it became the word because it wasn't loaded. Because when you say
Mm.
excited, it's good. We associate excitement with being good. We associate feeling scared with somehow being bad in some way. It's an emotion, it's neither, but we seem to have created all these associations. So that was my solution to it when my children were small.
I think from that perspective as well, the emotion of fear and excitement has got the same physiological response in your body.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what label do you want to put on that feeling, on that experience inside your system? And actually, if we can flip it more to being the excitement, exactly as you said, the excitement's got a positive connotation to it. The fear, the anxiety, the stress typically has a negative connotation. So how do we always manage to flip it? It's not nerves, it's not stress, it's not fear. It's excitement that something's changing. And how do we embrace that more? And maybe not focus on the fear. And yes, fear is part of it, but maybe not focus on that part so much so that we then don't allow ourselves to do anything.
It could be look forward to things, and yet anxiety is a forward-looking situation because people are looking forward at it, not to it, thinking, that they're kind of manifesting this. If you want to go that far, yeah, if it's going to make you happy, and we know that our universal mind will make us happy, because it'll do what we're focusing on. So, oh, you're going to be scared of dogs because there might be a dog there. Well, guess what? Here's one coming along right now. We'll make you notice it. And it's just proving ourselves right. And we seek to be proven right. And so that keeps the contract going, and it keeps the serving of that issue, keeps the matches in the box. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to I was speaking to someone who said that they were anxious, had anxiety the other night there. And I said, so what are you anxious about? And she said, my health. I said, uh-huh. Isn't everybody on a scale of? Sometimes, but not all the time. Oh, well, yeah, but these things have happened. Yeah, yeah, they happened. They're in the past. Are you thinking about going and having that accident again? Was it so good you'd like to do it again? Twice? 3 times? Now I can say that because I have been hit by 3 cars. I was just making sure.
That's just you're
So,
just being an overachiever, right?
oh yeah, yeah, you know. Sometimes, really? That was all you've got? You couldn't give me a little bit more? So next time, just throw me up in the air and pop me back out down again and give me something to show for it. But no, that's just basically not paying attention to a certain extent. Or paying attention and somebody else wasn't paying attention. But at the same time, I am a little bit more careful about crossing the road, but not that much. I have to admit. Because you see, I know there's such a thing on cars as brakes. I've had so many people walking in front of me, I've had to use them. So I know they're there. But it's true. You get excited, and it's the same physiological dump of chemicals that's going into your body that's coming at the adrenaline. The noradrenaline's coming up, and it's going, hello, 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 let's go. And you're getting so you're champing at the bit to go and go for it. And yet, another person would be sitting going, I don't want to do that. No, 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 I don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. It's not right. So that's interesting when it comes down to the fact that it's the same function, just how we think about it. So do we take the matches out or do we keep the matches in?
Or can we find a simulator that's actually going to give us an idea of what might happen? That would be nice, wouldn't it? Or would it?
Would it?
Oh no,
Would it be nice to
no.
get a
Doesn't
preview
that
of
ruin
what
the
might
whole thing? I
happen?
mean, isn't
That
it
would
good
ruin
to
the
be surprised?
excitement.
Yeah. The whole thing about getting excited is so that somebody does something you've never seen before or you've never experienced before. Or, it makes you giggle or something.
But I think there's also that element of it doesn't matter, even if you're not feeling that excitement, that's not a bad thing either. I mean, the amount of people that get really confused when I say I'm going on holiday and are you really excited? Well, no. Why don't you get excited? And it's very interesting from that perspective. I've had so many people say to me, but surely you're excited. Have you packed yet? No, I'll pack the morning of. But. And I was like, I don't tend to notice those excited feelings. Maybe when I got on the plane, I get excited, but up until then, I'm not in that situation where I'm feeling those big emotions. So I think there's also that element of you don't have to feel the big emotions for it to be a good thing, or not so much. And it's you don't have to get stuck into that. Well, I should be feeling something here. Why am I not feeling something? Just because everybody else is feeling something. What's wrong with me? And we don't have to go down that route of feeling something the whole way through. It's okay to not be so up here and having the big fireworks. Maybe you're just a little Catherine wheel and having a little bit of a nice little pretty thing. It doesn't have to be big, all bang whiz wallops.
You
You
might
look
have
like
put
you're
your
agreeing with me, Leslie.
no. You might have put the nail on the head there. It
That's what a
is,
Catherine wheel needs, don't need so, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. You just need a nail to stick in the middle of it. Um, although the reason that it's called the Catherine wheel was interesting too, but we won't go into that. You can Google that if you really want to.
I really like what you're sharing though, Angela, because we get so caught up in, we talk about worrying about the past or the future, kind of being in anywhere except the present moment. And I think that speaks very much to being in the present moment. That excitement as you're in the journey, great. But in the moment, I'm not there yet. I'm right here and I'm able to be right here and I don't have to put myself there. When I get there, I will be there, right? And being able to just notice what's happening, because when we're in that place of excitement or fear, anxiety, whatever it is, we're putting ourselves somewhere and we're not noticing, okay, what right now do I need in this moment? Because that's going to help me whenever I get to that point to be able to be right where I need in that moment. But if we're constantly everywhere but here, we're not going to have that grounding.
And
It's true
it's
though,
really
babe.
funny because I spent so long feeling, well, there must be something wrong with me. Why am I not excited? Not having properly realized that the whole mindfulness and being present and in the present moment, I was already living the right things. But whereas other people say, oh, why aren't you excited yet? And one of my closest friends, 18 months before the holiday that she's just booked, she's starting to get excited and everything's coming. I was like, we're not there yet.
Exhausting. That's exhausting.
And it's another sign of anxiety, isn't it? So where she's seeing it as exciting and all this is coming, you're futuring 18 months ahead of now. Why?
Mm.
What's wrong with right now?
You don't really want me get me started on the futuring that the shops and the retail outlets do for.
Oh, no, 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 no,
No, we're
you
not
don't
going
have
there.
to.
We're not going there.
You don't
Yeah,
have to. You
yeah.
don't have to.
But I think
It's
that we do create this notion of this not being present. We train people to be forward looking, and then we attach anxieties or we attach excitement to it or we attach something else. You're going, that sounds like an awful lot of work and an awful lot of energy. Wouldn't life be so much simpler if you just stayed in the moment? Be wonderful. But then we mightn't have all the transformations either if we keep staying in the moment. That is the other side. Might happen.
we can stay in the moment and still kind of see people say, when you stay in the moment, am I not supposed to plan anything anymore? Well, yeah, you can plan, just don't emotionally go there yet. You can like planning for a holiday. I mean, it was the most sort of the biggest thing in my life was going to Tibet. And my excitement level was going on the treadmill at the gym. That was it. It's sort of like, I'm going to go to Tibet. This is what I have to do in order to get there and be able to breathe properly while I'm there. That was it. When I got there, it was, wow, this is kind of big. And I had to do a lot of walking, so I was out of breath a lot. And, so that I did worry a little bit about how things, I was going to manage it. And I thought to myself, well, there's always a yak. So problem solved.
I like that, going back to the transformation thing, because yes, we want to notice what we want to change and things like that, but transformation only ever happens in the present. And then it shifts
That's true.
everything around it. And so, even to the traveling piece, if we're not in the present moment, I mean, how many people have had that experience where they're so excited about a vacation or a trip or something that they're going on, and then they get there and partway through, they're ready to start planning their next trip, and they're not present in the one that they're in anymore. And so to transform that, they have to really bring themselves back into the present moment, stop that, futuring, as you were saying, and really
Yeah.
allow yourself to go, okay, this is my pattern. What is it that I want to change? And I have to do that now.
But managing expectations as well, though. So a lot of the time you can have so many expectations of what you're going to see, what you're going to do, how it's going to be, and then you get there and it's not quite how you imagined it to be. Is that a letdown, or is it still good that you're there because the sun's still shining, hopefully? Or if you're going to a place where there's snow, hopefully there's snow there still. So what's the problem?
And so I wonder if that's I don't tend to have that fear of when I get there, it's not quite what I expected. And I wonder if that's because I'm not going down that route of planning expectations
Yeah.
and visualizing, for want of a better word, what's going to happen when I get there. And so I've done my bucket list trip this year. I'm going to have to find another bucket list trip here because I'm not at the end of my life yet. But I've done the big holiday that I wanted to do and I was looking forward to. But I didn't go thinking, well, it's going to be like this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I just went thinking, I want to see the scenery. I want to see it. I want to experience it. I want to be there. And because of that, I wasn't building up big expectations in my head. Yes, I expected the food to be a little bit better than it was, but I wasn't that put out that it wasn't. And I think it's that point of because I didn't go into it with these expectations of my itinerary mapped out to the minutest little detail, and this is what I'm going to do every 5 minute increments. And it was just a very chilled space and a nice experience. That was great. And it's interesting when I came back. So yeah, Jennifer, you're saying about, and when you get there, you then plan on the next one. I was finding that when I got back, everyone's like, "So tell us all about it." And it's like, it's happened. I really enjoyed it. I bought some lovely pictures, and I wasn't in that big up there excited space that everybody else was expecting. And I'm wondering if there's, when it comes to transformation as well, there are aspects of that where you're so enthused and you're so excited, but there's also aspects where okay, that's happened, that's changed. I've not acknowledged it. Where am I going to go next? So allow it to settle and then look for the next thing rather than as you're changing, well, what am I going to do after this?
The
It's good to
transformation
have
thing,
future plans, but
yeah.
it's experience it, enjoy it, celebrate it, and then look for the next thing.
It's like the transformation thing though, it doesn't have a kind of time limit, really. Everybody expects
Yep.
it to be just like that, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, you could be walking about like droopy going, guess what? I'm happy. And maybe you are inside. Maybe you are, but you just haven't, it hasn't got to the outside yet, you know? But then who wants to be running about like Snoopy on speed?
And I think it's that point of we're all unique, we're all different. And some people will be away up there, as you've said, Snoopy on speed, and some people are going to be down the Eeyore level that, do you know, life is good, but I don't need to be effervescent the whole time. I can just be.
I think that's probably one of the best things that we can do, particularly for clients, is allow them to understand that they can just be. Because a lot of them don't know what that means. They've never experienced it before. What do you mean just be? Just be what? Just be who? You! Isn't it enough to just be you? Oh, that could be a can of worms, though. That could be like the blue touch paper and stand well back. Oh boy.
Absolutely. Well, into what you guys were both saying, and in terms of allowing it to be, that integration phase is such an important part. We have this transformation or this change or whatever it is, this experience that's moved us in some way, and then we're off to the races for the next thing, and we haven't even integrated what impacted us before. And I think that goes for us and for those around us, right? We might start the ball rolling and then we're off with it and nobody's integrating anything. And that's when all of the other fireworks go off.
Yeah.
I think sometimes too there's a challenge. I've made this change, but you haven't actually changed all the other patterns that sit around that change. That just saying, I've made a change. I now believe this, and no patterns or actions actually have changed. And that can be a very interesting place. But saying it doesn't quite make it so. There's some actions will need to happen.
Sometimes you got to be comfortable with the idea and
Yeah.
have a little idea about what's going to be on the other side of that action. And say, well, it's kind of exciting because I'm not entirely sure. But having had the experience beforehand in life, hopefully, you would say, everything's turned out all right so far. So why not? But that's the thing though, isn't it? When we're looking forward, we tend not to understand that how we got to where we are is actually an achievement in itself for so many different reasons. And we've changed and transformed and evolved all the way through it because we've got older. And as we get older, we get to see things differently, we get to think about things differently, and we get to meet different people who, well, sometimes we'll look at and go, eh? And sometimes we'll look at and go, oh yeah, you're going to be my friend. You know? But we do tend to find what we're looking for, don't we?
We've lived, we've experienced life, and things move forwards. Every day we're different. Every day we're changing. Our cells are regenerating and dying off and recreating and everything else. So the way we look at life will change. We might not think it is. We might think we've not changed since we were teenagers, but we will have.
Oh yeah, I mean, by the time all these cells have reprogrammed themselves and come about again and refreshed themselves, we probably had a new body about 5 times over. At least.
No. I'm exactly the same as I was as a teenager. Haven't changed a bit. I mean, when you even say it, it sounds so ridiculous when you say it out loud. Somebody, you haven't changed a bit. Yes, I have. But when you say it out loud, it's a daft statement, and yet we use it oftentimes. So
I think it's because people are trying to be nice to you, trying to be complimentary. You know,
I'll take it as the compliment that I'm young looking,
Yes. Oh, the last time I saw you were 16. You haven't changed a bit. You're not a bit of you changed. You're like, which optician do you go to? But then again, that's another thing, isn't it? We see what we want to. And when we see someone that we haven't seen for a long time, the memory plays trick. And we go back and we, particularly if we're visual, we see a picture of them as they were then. And that's quite possibly what we're doing. We're actually looking at the picture inside our heads instead of what's in front of us and going, I haven't changed a bit. You know? I mean, for me, it's usually about my behaviour. Got nothing to do with what I look like.
It's the energy the person's giving off. It's the sound of their voice. It's how they make you feel. It's all these aspects that you do go back into your memory banks and think, no, this is how that person made me feel before. So they might not, what you see in front of your eyes, be identical, but there's that element of their essence that's the same. But their essence will have changed as well. But there'll be something there that you're like, yeah, that's what I can hang my memory onto, and that's the familiarity of it.
Yeah.
That
I
aspect.
think that goes back to what you were saying earlier, Angela, about how we find what we look for, because we do that in people as well.
Just plug it in so my computer doesn't do what Angela's did earlier on, go out with a bang. Or actually,
mine was a fatal error. We'll deal with that later.
It would be just a kind of not a bang, but a. So when we're thinking about it, and we're thinking about fireworks, and we're thinking about in Britain, we're thinking about Bonfire Night, and there's going to be a lot of people setting things off, setting things alight, and we know that these things can be very, very highly destructive, but they can also be something that can either bring us together or really allow us to go forward without some people who really we've outgrown or they've outgrown us, one of the two. It doesn't really matter because we can only really go forwards. We can try and stay, we can hold ourselves in place, we can sit there with our hands around that matchbox and say, I'm not doing it. They are safety matches and they will not go off unless I strike them in the right place at the right time. And there's not going to be a right place or right time for that to happen. And we don't even realise that we might be not giving ourselves the full experience of what life can bring. So when it comes down to it, we all have some of that little blue touch paper. We all have it somewhere. And all it needs is somebody with the right match and the right time. And it will go off. And hopefully when it does, it's going to be a cascade of wonderfulness. And if they're very unlucky, it won't. So just be careful with your matches and with your fireworks. And understand that when you make a decision to actually go forward, looking for transformation, because that's really what we do. We're looking to transform our lives because it's not being what it could be. And that is actually what fire does too. It transforms. It will bring everything to ashes, and then things have to start growing from the root up. And that's the biggest warning. You have to start from the root up again. When you transform, that's how it's going to be. You have to become anew. You have to grow anew. And that just might be a new life. It just might be a new you. So have fun. In Britain, be safe. And don't go too nuts with the Guy Fawkes. And we'll see you next time.